Welcome to the Master The NEC Podcast, the ultimate destination for anyone passionate about the electrical trade. Whether you're a seasoned electrician, an eager apprentice, or just someone who wants to dive deep into the world of electrical work, you've come to the right place. Join your host, Paul Abernathy, a true authority in the industry with over 38 years of trade experience, as he electrifies your mind with in-depth discussions, expert tips, and valuable insights that will keep you ahead of the curve. Each episode, Paul will illuminate the complexities of the trade, decode the National Electrical Code, and share the latest industry trends, all while empowering you to take your electrical career to the next level. So, gear up, plug in, and get ready to supercharge your knowledge, because with the Master The NEC Podcast, the power is in your hands. Now get ready. Here is your host, Paul Abernathy.
What up, everybody? Welcome to Master the NEC Podcast, the show where you don't just talk electrical theory. We don't just talk about the National Electrical Code, but we talk about real-world situations and actually take it to the next level when it comes to being a professional in the trade. And that's what we do here on Master the NEC Podcast. So hopefully you're catching this podcast on whatever your favorite podcast platform is: Deezer, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast. Gosh, I don't know. You can even listen on your Alexa devices if you ask for it to play Master the NEC Podcast. Anyway, welcome to the show. We like to every now and then step back. And for those that don't know, my name is Paul Abernathy, and I've been in the electrical industry nearly 40 years. I've written books on the electrical code, and I serve on various committees. I've taught seminars all over the country and have courses that are available for people wanting to learn the National Electrical Code at a much higher level. I also consult to many contractors out there and serve as expert witness on cases that may have something to do with the National Electrical Code. But most of you may know me for doing the podcasts, and so I appreciate you listening to the podcast. Now today we're gonna step outside of the code book a little bit. We're gonna and for many people, this is going to be outside of their comfort zone because, if you're an electrical contractor, from time to time, whether you're the actual electrician on the site or you work for somebody or you're a company in general, you have employees, at some point you're going to have a situation where you have this awkward, tense situation where you go out to a project or a job and you complete the project and maybe you do it in record time. I mean, maybe you get out there and the thought is it's going to take you an hour, 2 hours, and you actually get out there and you're done in 15, 20 minutes. And then you give the customer a minimum of 1 hour and then they balk at it. They start raising a beef and it's an awkward situation. And if you haven't run into it in the career, you will eventually run into it. And so I want to give you some thoughts and how you can overcome this, how you can train your staff to overcome this and get a little bit better at that awkward situation between you and your customer. And then be able to know that when you walk away or your employee walks away, that you're walking away with a customer that you still want to keep them. I mean, you still want to retain them. I mean, for whatever reason, they're questioning your pay or your rates or the time that you committed or whatever. That's just par for the course, but you have to try to always think about how I'm going to come out win-win, how everybody's going to win, how we're going to come away from this with a positive outcome. The customer's always right is not accurate in our trade. We know that. But is there some way that we can come out of this in that awkward, tense moment when a customer suddenly acts after you've already done the work? They act like they don't want to pay once the work is done, or they question the cost. And you obviously you've done the proper things, right? You've laid this all out up front. You have your pricing schedule. If you're doing maybe your hourly rate or your time and material, or you're just doing like in Texas where you just give them one rate, or if flat rate pricing and they already know which level, or you've looked at the work and you know whether it's a level 1, level 2, level 3, which is going to affect the price. And obviously jobs can become more difficult than what you thought they were originally and take longer. So things can change. Prices can change. And of course, with that said, you'll get customers who will it just puts you in an awkward situation. So I want to talk a little bit about there. We've all been there. Again, you've done that job. It's inspected, it's solid, and now you're sitting and go, they're stalling on paying you. How does that work? Okay, so how do you keep calm? How do you hold your ground, still walk away with your dignity and your customer relationship intact? Because at the end of the day, that acquisition cost for that initial customer, for them to go through the exercise to contact you, there's a cost to that. You've either advertised, you've done marketing, you've done something. So don't think, oh, my phone just rang or something like that. There is an acquisition cost, and we don't want to lose that acquisition cost. We want to maintain it so that we keep that customer, because you never know when they're going to need more work done. But you may need to help set the tone and how this is going to work out. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And in this episode, I'm going to share 10 proven negotiating tactics that can help you kind of de-escalate the situation, recover your payment, and then maybe turn a bad encounter into a long-term win or long-term customer. So grab your coffee, your code book, or whatever while we kind of go through this, and we're going to kind of break into it and discuss it in detail. Okay, first and foremost, I usually tell people segment 1 or part 1 to this is going to be the reality check. Okay, now before we jump into the tactics, let's get real world for a second. Every contractor, even the best of us, eventually run into that one customer who either delays payment, questions the invoice, or flat out refuses to pay. And here's the truth. In that moment, your reaction matters more than your reputation, how you react. There are a lot of times where I've seen employees immediately jump defensive and it becomes a problem. And once it starts going down that slope, it is hard to recover. Okay, you can have the best craftsmanship in the town. You can be the best electrician in the world. But if you lose your cool, that one customer can hurt your credibility so fast. And the old saying, when somebody dislikes a situation, they will go out of their way to tell everybody they can. Okay, the sad fact is a lot of times people live in misery. All right. And they want to bring other people to that same level of misery. That's like telling people who you don't even know your situation or what may be going on in your life, and you're depressed or down, and they don't care. They may act like they care, but they really don't care. And that's a brutal fact. I just hate to tell you that, unless they're your friend or somebody you have a relationship with who, may care. The general public do not care about your concerns, about your needs. And I talk about that in another podcast where I tell your employees, do not bring their personal situation into the work. Do not carry it over to the customers. And if they're disgruntled or upset at the company in any way, keep it to themselves. There is nothing good. And I tell them this, there is nothing good that can come from you venting your frustration to a customer, which could eventually get back to me and only make your situation worse. So there's nothing you're going to gain. There's nothing that customer can do that's going to make your situation better. Zero. So first of all, get that out of your mind. And I teach people this when we're talking about soft skills, and I tell them, look, get that out of your mind. I know you want to vent. I know you want to say things. I know you want to, you're upset maybe or whatever reason, and you're on a job. Keep it to yourself. They don't care. Okay? Just keeping that square. Now, I had a contractor friend years ago who blew up at a customer over a $200 difference on a $4,000 job. Now, he was right. He was in the good. The customer was wrong. But the way he handled it was wrong. Now, he got his money, but he lost 5 referrals. And because of his attitude, he got a Google review score that tanked almost overnight. Now, if you don't think that can happen, you can have 5 stars, and then all of a sudden you get 1 star, or somebody wants to come in there and taint it. That 1 star will drop you down, and you're not going to recover from it. Now, you're still main high, But that's not your goal. Your goal should be 5 stars all the time. And if not, ask them, what can I do to make it 5 stars? And I've done that with a customer when they're going to do a review. Like many people know, I gave my brother, who has a really high rating. I mean, everything's 5. My brother's just amazing. But you know those little pin clips that we have on our website that have the QR code on there? A lot of people that order those get it actually scan it so it goes right to their Google listing rating. So they can ask them to do a review while they're there. While you're working out the invoice, say, do you mind doing this while I work out your invoice, get this for you, whatever. And a lot of people say, sure, I don't mind. It's really quickly, 5-star, boom, give a little something, say a little something. It really does help you locally. And it's just as quickly as having that QR code right there on your hat or on your business card or whatever you're using to get them. But you want to get them there. And for my brother and me, it's just easy to have this little clip right here, and it's a conversation piece. And I go, hey, here's a QR code. You got your phone? Just scan this, and I'll go work on everything for you here. And if you don't mind giving me a 5-star review. Ask for what you want, by the way. Don't say, can you just give me a review? No. Say, I hope you're happy with the service. I do my best to please you. A 5-star review really helps my business as a local. Dude, don't be afraid, folks, to ask for what you want. Okay? First mistake people make. They don't ask for what they want. And if somebody says to you, well, I don't, if they're ballsy enough to say, well, I don't think it was 5-star, then say, what can I do to get you there? What do you need me to do? If I had a customer say, well, you can knock $25 off. I'm like, is that all it takes to get you to a 5? Then I'd say, oh, fine. I'll give you a discount. Because believe it or not, those reviews matter. And you might be solid, so stern, you're like, no, bullshit. I'm getting my money. The reviews, if you're local and you're working off this social medias and you're working off this type of things, the review is much more important in the long run than worrying about $25 from a customer that may say that's the only threshold that they need to get that 5th star. You hear me? That's an example, but I'm just saying you got to negotiate. So in his case, he screwed up because he got his money and he might think that he won the battle, but ultimately at the end of the day, he lost the war because he called me and the person he was like, dude, that son of a gun gave me a damn 1-star rating and I did his work and giving, and I'm like, yeah, well, yeah, you won the battle, but you lost the war. And because I know how he told me how his interaction went. And I was like, look, remember, you're not just wiring systems. You're also managing relationships. And negotiation is part of your craft, whether you like it or not. Whether you're an electrician and you think, I don't educate, I don't negotiate, I'm just here to do a job, blah, blah, blah. That's not true. And if you're like that and you're an owner, then you're either in a market where there is zero competition or you don't care and your business is going to have a peak and then it's going to slowly decline as your reputation starts to get waned and tainted for that. Okay. But you get to, you got to kind of work through those things, but it's just kind of things that you have to think about. Okay. So now let's go into what I like to say is, segment 2 here of the podcast is the 10 negotiating tactics. First thing, number 1, is you need to set your payment expectations early. This is where people can just screw up all the time. The best negotiation is the one that never happens because you handled it up front. Always get your payment terms in writing, deposits, whether you can do draw payments or whether it's a completion 50%, 50%, whatever it is, get your payment terms, get it in writing. Whether it requires deposits, whatever, a certain completion amount of money completed, whatever it is, get it out. But spell it clearly in your estimate or contract or opening negotiation or contract if it's a sales call. Get it up front so that everybody's on the same page. Don't leave it ambiguous. And I know guys that do this. They get there. They're worried about getting the work done. They go, I'll give the price later. Don't. Give it up front. Let them know that there's different levels to it, and this is the minimum. It could go up a little. I'm hoping it's not, but I don't know what I'm into yet. but I'll keep you abreast along the way, and you can determine what level you want to get to. Communication is key, okay? But the key is get that out there. And here's my rule. If a customer says, we'll settle it after the job, that's a red flag, okay? If you have a customer that you go in there and you're saying something, talking prices, and he goes, if the customer says, we'll settle it after the job, spider senses start tingling. You know what I'm saying? Because that means that they're going to they're going to try to negotiate the price at the end. If they don't think you spent enough, if you spent too much time, or you replaced a part that they don't think that needed to be replaced, and they're not the expert here, but they're telling you this, then you're going to no. Talk about price up front. I just get it out of the way. And people say, well, with people that talk price, that's their only thing. Well, dude, that's right, because it's not like a job interview, right, where people don't want to ask you up front what the salary is. That's going to be somewhere in the conversation. When it comes to doing work for somebody, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to let you know what the price is up front. You go buy my course, I'm going to let you know what the price is up front. No negotiation needed at that point. But if you don't, and you defer it, or you don't train your staff to get it out of the way up front, it's going to come back to haunt you later. Yeah, I'm not saying every time. I mean, there are good people out there who will just, that are honest, and, but again, for every one honest one out there, there's probably 5 pieces of crap that you're going to have to wade through. So I'm just trying to save you that, and that's the first thing, right? One tip I'll give you is verbal agreements are like loose terminations. They will come back to haunt you later. So verbal is one thing. People seem to have very short-term memories when it comes to verbal. I know people say, I don't like to get all this stuff, paper and all this stuff. Dude, it's very simple to have a 1-page contract, 1-page agreement, 1-page price thing explaining that the price could change. It's one way to do it. And I've helped plenty of contractors develop that. And that's part of the consulting services that we have. We'll help you to understand how to do service call initial. Your pricing will be different in your region, but we kind of give you steps and you just fill in the blank. That's some of the consulting things that we do, or at least have somebody to bounce your thoughts off of, that type of thing. So again, payment expectations, get it done up front. Next, use Paul's power. And you're thinking, what the freak is Paul talking about? Paul's power. Okay, now, think about this for a second. When a customer gets confrontational, the best tool isn't your mouth. It's actually your silence. People hate silence. And in fact, when you are negotiating with somebody and you go silent, their mind already starts calculating the outcome and a renegotiation point automatically. So if I talk to somebody and I pause, they pause. I pause after they say something. They're trying to negotiate, and I pause, and I think about it. Their mind is already in this counterpoint mode, and they're not expecting you to pause. They're expecting you to have a quick comeback, like this is a negotiation. I'll give you 10. Oh no, 5, 7, no, 8, no. You pause. So if the customer gets confrontational, you pause, take a breath. Don't jump in defensively. Just take a breath, pause. This is hard for some people, but take a breath. Maybe tell yourself to swallow 5 times before you speak. It's kind of a little tip. Swallow, full swallows before you speak 5 times. And then say something like, I hear what you're saying. Let's walk through this together. That pause keeps the situation from sparking into a full-blown short circuit situation. Okay? That pause, it breaks the banter of a confrontational negotiation. It's a technique that you got to practice, and it's tough. Okay, I can tell you right now that I do not practice this very well when I'm arguing with my son, who is a total pain in the butt. And he knows how to push my buttons. But as I got older, I realized that that's what he liked. And that's what he wanted. And so introducing pauses in there really threw him off his game. And so take a breath, pause, and think, kind of look away, nod your head a little bit. You heard him, very good at listening skills, active listener. And swallow, 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 and then say, I hear what you're saying. And do it in such a calm way, you're going to be surprised. You're going to be surprised. Now, the next tip I can give you is stay empathetic, not emotional. Okay? You can be understanding without surrendering, folks. I think so many people forget that. They think that I've got to just come back with a defensive tone. But there may be a situation where you have to understand and have a little empathy for their situation. Economy, what's happening. They may have told you a story while you're there working and all that, oh, I've got problems, because everybody likes to share their problems. So you're getting into this now where you're going to take a fee. Now, yes, you did the work, but now you're taking this money. So, you got to be empathetic, but take the emotion out of it. So use empathy phrases like, I completely understand why that might be frustrating. You know what it does? It causes their brain to go into a pause, a calming effect, not a instant trigger between two people that their octave is so high that they're now bantering at each other, and it gives the brain no time to register what's going on. Okay? So it calms the brain down, literally. Once emotional levels were reduced down to what's called logic, means a discussion that you could be had, then you walk them through the facts, the materials, the time, permits, where permits were required, unforeseen issues. I could tell you one situation where this worked very well was in a service call where we went out and just reset GFCIs. Now, my brother, for example, this was a call where, and I'm sure you've all had this, where people called and, and everybody's different in how they want to deal with this. I'm different than my brother would deal with it. But I got a call out there. It was multiple GFCIs in series and one tripped and I didn't know where the other one was. I didn't know that till I got there. But they were saying this receptacle doesn't work and yada, yada, yada. So we got there and sure enough, it wasn't working, wouldn't reset. So we had to go hunting for it. Well, we found it quickly. There's only so many circuits that it can be on, especially depending on the year of the house. Y'all know this. And so we found it and it reset it. And it was probably less than, probably less than 20 minutes. And my policy is I charge you a minimum of an hour. And at the time, I also had a after hours call fee. They could have waited during hours. Did they necessarily need that GFCI to work or that receptacle? No, but they called it. So there's a fee. So the customer was like, I'm be honest with you. He kind of went through some sob stories. But honestly, he says, I think that's overpriced. You weren't here but 20 minutes. And I know it's an hourly rate. You don't have a scale for 30 minutes. So he's trying to tell me how I should run my business. Right. And I looked at him and eye contact important. I looked at him and I was shaking my head. I was listening, active listening to everything he said. And then after he was done, I kind of looked at him and I thought about it for a second. I looked at him and looked, dude, I know how you feel. I've had this happen to me, that type of thing. I get it. Unfortunately, let me, is it okay if I explain you just briefly where my pricing scale, why we do what we do? He said, sure. He's still a little bit yamped, but sure. And there was no thought that he wasn't going to pay me. He was just, he was a little upset at it for some reason because I found it so quick. Now, my brother would have just said, no, that's fine. Just give me $20 and move on. Okay. But not me. Okay. I had a $125 minimum an hour and I had a $50 after hours call. So I'm in business. Now you could have waived the 50, that make them feel better, but you know what? It's worth a shot in a negotiation. And I'm using tactics that we train, soft skill tactics. And I want to get my money. I'm in business, right? So I look at him and I go, I have to pay for advertising, and I have licenses and insurance and accounting and everything. And so my prices are actually broken down in a way that makes it so that I have to do a certain number of calls a month in order to be able to meet my expenses and pay myself or pay my employees. And that's what these things are based on. And I've tried to break them down to what the cost of living is for me and what I have to do. And I try to carry that over honestly with my customers. After I explained it to him and like I'm in business and gave him some of my situations, not the woe is me situation, like I need the money. No, I just tried to explain the business aspect of it in licensing and the, acquisition of customers and the ads that I run on, different various networks. And he's like, he literally he looked at me and everything else went away. He's like, dude, I understand. He even actually apologized to me for even notion of it. And I'm like, dude, don't apologize. Because here at this point, I knew that I could take this customer and now make a long-term relationship with him and anybody that he may know. Because I said, dude, I get it. And I understand. And so ultimately, I did give the guy $25 off. Now, did I have to do that? Absolutely not. Why did I do that? Well, because after we started talking and he was more than willing to pay, I started throwing out the things like, dude, you know what? I'm using, people like this and some don't like this, but I don't give a damn because I use it. I'll say, you give me a 5-star review and tell your friends, and I'll be honest with them as I'm honest with you. And, I'm a local business. I'm trying to make it and trying to grow. And I'll give you $25 off and help you out a little bit. You can help me out a little bit. And, I rely on these good reviews. The dude, I swear to you folks, the dude about tripped over himself to say, where do I give the review? What do I do? Where do I give you? Just for $25, that was worth it for me. Now, I could have walked away and got it all, right? But after I took a little time and explained it, what I was doing was networking and working a possible whale. Now, possible whale is that somebody who's going to be pleased, satisfied, give a good review, tell their family members, tell their friends, their next door neighbors, everybody in the neighborhood. They probably go out of the way to when something comes up, hey, I got a guy. I know a guy, right? Not the easiest skill to do, but it takes a little practice. But again, I wasn't BSing them. I wasn't, working them beyond trying to explain to them. But I saw an opportunity to hammer that home. And I just you have to learn that skill. But if you start out with showing a little empathy for them and then explaining your situation using pause techniques and then explaining it, and then having the ability to seize the opportunity to expand on that and make it a solid review, that's what a good business owner does. That's what a good technician does. That's what a good salesperson does. And if I work for somebody, I'm an extension of them. So you've heard me say this before. If you got employees who are not willing to do that or work the customer like that and give them that attention and that care that's necessary, then they're a cancer to your company and you need to get rid of them. I don't care how good of an earner they are. If you're paying them, they need to reward you with promotion and effort. And if they don't do that, then they're not worth paying. Get rid of them. Get somebody else. I'm just saying it. I hope I don't cost anybody their job out there. But again, if they want to do differently, tell them to go get their own business. You get what I'm saying? I mean, they're working for you. Make them do it. But you have to offer them the training, the techniques, and so many electrical contractors with employees, they don't do enough soft skill training. They don't train with how to work with a customer. They don't do training exercises with all of their technicians. And why is that important? Because some technicians are shyer than others. And so I want to see when they do a little exercise and they do it together at the office, which ones are restrictive to do it? Which ones are like, I ain't doing that. Oh, this is stupid. I want to see who those are. That's a good way to identify who's willing to do this and the ones that are willing to do it. And that's where you can start keeping a good eye on your employees and who wants to see the business grow and who doesn't. That's what we're all about. If you're just about an earner, that's on you. But I want somebody that's going to earn for me. It's going to be thankful for me giving them a job and they help grow my business. That's who I want. I don't care how much you make for my company. If you're a shitty person when you're out on the job and you are hindering my growth, then I'm going to get rid of you and get somebody else. That's just me. Next is reaffirm the value before talking money. You would think this would come before, but I just want to point out the fact that when payment conflict starts, customers often forget what they got. So remind them of what you delivered. So when I'm getting ready, that we've got the pricing, and either you do it up front or you do it at the end. Before you ask for the money, for the given money, I always used to say to the customer, I was like, okay, let's do a summary real quick. I want to do a summary for you what I did, so you know what you're paying for. Believe it or not, people like that. Okay, so remind them of what you delivered. Remember we upgraded your service panel, we brought it up to code, we passed the inspections on the first try. Or if they did a service calls, as we were tracking down the GFCIs, we found the other GFCIs. So now you know, if you have this happen again, where the GFCI is to reset this so that you don't have this issue in the future. And, different things like that. Explain it to them. And maybe you're there for 20 minutes and you, instead of leaving, maybe you've worked into, like, for example, I teach people thermal imaging. So thermal imaging course is great. Pull out your thermal imager. And if you're paid for the hour and you feel inclined, then you stay for the hour and you say, you know what, that can also stop an argument and say, you know what, since I'm here and I finished it early, do you want me to do a thermal imaging of your panel just to see if there's any loose connections, whatnot? I'm here anyway. I'll give you a free thermal inspection. I've got a thermal imaging camera. I'll go look at your panel. I'll also go around at a select number of receptacles and things like that, and just look and see, if there's any heat or loose connections, just things like that. And it kind of makes them think, damn, I'm getting more for my money. You're still getting paid your hour. So if you're the kind of person that's like, dude, I want to get paid for an hour, but I only want to do 20 minutes work. I was never that way. I'm still going to get paid an hour. If I'm there an hour, I'm going to be there an hour unless there is absolutely nothing they want else from me, and then I leave. But I'll offer different things to them. I said, would you like me to check your panel? Now, some people think, well, you're just doing that to look for more things. No, I'm not here. I tell them, look, I'm not here to look for more things. I'm here to make sure you don't have any issues that could cause a problem down the road. Okay. And these things can manifest themselves at any given time. And it's usually the worst time, Murphy's Law, right? So I'll look and see if there's any excessive heating on your lugs, your main lugs, maybe loose connections, whatever like that. And if I'm here and if it's a quick tightening up, I'll tighten it. I'm here for the hour. Dude, you will look like a freaking rock star. So I encourage everybody to add thermal imaging to their portfolio. We have thermal images available, cameras over on our website at the best price that I've seen, and without going through some shady application. These we have directly sold to us through a distributor, and they're less than MSRP. And we have a thermal imaging course as well that teaches sales and marketing and all that kind of stuff. But at the least, it's not brain surgery. There's a bunch of different palettes on here. You'll find one that you kind of gravitate to. But it's really nice to kind of buffer that extra time. And of course, you'll get a technician who thinks, well, I'm just going to get out of here early. Well, I would train my staff to say, look, you're there for an hour. Okay. You're an hourly employee, so I'm going to be paying you for an hour, not for the job. So at the end of the day, offer them other services. And if you're like me, I used to have a inspection form that I would give to them when I left, and it would say, we looked at this is our recommendations. This looks good. You might want to fix this in future. You don't have GFCIs on the counter. Give a quick inspection. They might call you back, and again, you're getting more money for your time. But that's up to you. Okay. Now, as I say, remind them what you did. This puts the value front and center before you go to the dollar mark. Okay. People pay when they feel what they got was worth it. So I always go reaffirm the value before you talking money, other than to let them know up front what your fees are. You can kind of do it up front, but at the end, I do always recommend a summary at the time of payment. Look at them right in the eye and say, okay, let's do a quick summary. I want to explain what we did here today, so that you're aware of what we did here today. Boom, 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 boom. And that explains it to them. it takes a little practice for the technician to get used to that. All right, next item is offering options, not ultimatums. Okay, negotiations die when one side feels trapped. There's no way out, and that kind of is not a negotiation. That's a one-sided takeover. Okay, so instead of you need to pay this today, let's look at some ways to get this resolved. So they may tell you they don't have the money, and you've already discussed the money. Right? You've already discussed it. Well, if you already know you're not getting it and you're negotiating it out and you're getting ready to just blow your top, maybe you think about it and say, well, you know what? I can get something out of this. I'll give you an example. My son's girlfriend was in a car accident with a illegal that did not have car insurance. So they had an accident and I got involved in it. So what ended up happening with that is, we had to take him to small claims court and, we got a judgment for him, but he had no incentive to pay. He's like, so what? I don't care. I got a judgment. Well, the way I negotiated out with him and explained to him that this would sit on his record because, again, we won the judgment and we'd be more than willing to remove this judgment, but we got to be paid. I understand you don't have the money. Well, getting something is better than getting nothing. So I structured out a payment plan for 10 payments. Right? Now, I had to structure this for him and explain the benefits of keeping his credit. He don't want to get him in trouble. We want to make sure, and we'll gladly remove this lien. So he made it all the way up to the 9th payment, believe it or not. And then I don't know what happened to him. I never heard from him again. He could have died or something. I don't know. But we got just about all of the money out of him up until that last payment. No, we never lifted a judgment because he still owes us one payment. But I never heard from the guy again. He just disappeared. The point is, you can negotiate with people, and it's better to get something. So maybe you don't get your entire amount, but maybe you say, look, I get 50% of it, and then I will break the other 50% up into 2 payments or 3 payments or 2 payments or whatever you want, and in that way, and I'll, that type of thing. Do you know if you'll ever get the other 2 payments? No, but you at least walked away with something. Now, I'm not telling you that's a perfect way to do it. I'm just saying that sometimes it's basically keeping the flexibility keeps the door open, and it's a professionalism intact. You didn't go off the handle. You didn't throw if you're not going to get your money. Okay? And you got to get used to where you feel this. If I feel somebody's just scammed me and they just don't have the money, you try to get out as much as you can. Okay? I mean, it just is what it is. Maybe you dump the $50, after hours fee and just say, look, I'll dump the 50 and get, but you don't do that right away. You wait until you feel the air. You feel the negotiation. Okay? But again, flexibility. At least get your money and say, the 50, can you pay it in 2 equal payments? 25 each? One this month, one next month, and we'll be square. You'd be surprised. They'll be like, that's fine. And you just send them an invoice, and they may or may not pay it. But again, you're walking away with something, and you say the key is saving the reputation. And maybe part of that negotiation says, you know what? Here's what I'll do: is we'll knock off the 50. You got to pay the 125. I'll knock off the 50 for you because I get it. I understand. But how about this? You can pay the 50 in 2 equal payments of $25 over the next 2 months. And in turn for that, me doing that for you, could you give me a 5-star review now? And then you hold it and let them give a review, and you go, okay, after you give the review, you right there, have it ready. Do it. Take the time. And that review is huge. Okay? So anyway, there's different tactics for that. But again, throwing ultimatums in there sometimes can cause it to really go south quickly. But learn to be flexible. If you're going to lose the money anyway, then think of ways at least you can leverage and get the most you can. And then maybe you offer a payment plan for the whatever's remaining or whatever. Okay. It's just flexibility. Next is use silence strategically. What does that mean? Okay. Here's a psychological trick. You ready? After you state your case, just stop talking. Just stop. Don't fill in the sentences. Let the customer process it. Silence makes them respond in a more, thoughtful approach instead of an emotional approach. It's uncomfortable. Silence makes people uncomfortable, but it works. And I'll also give you another tip to this, is that when you think about the previous one where you actually talk about everything that you've done for them, that you've helped them before you get the money, is at the end of it, you tell them everything you've done, and then you simply end it with the simple phrases like, okay, we did all that. So does that sound fair? Or does that sound like a reasonable price for all the services that we gave you today? And just stay quiet, silent. Because you're giving a summary, and then you're confirming everything you did sounds good and reasonable to them, and that you did all these things. Or you might say something like, okay, after the summary, say, now you agree, you're with me, you agree we did all this, all of this for you and solved the issue, right? And everything's, taken care of, and we kind of covered everything. Is it all that is, you agree with all that? Just silence. But it works. It makes them feel very awkward. But it also takes emotion out of it, because now they have to think a little bit more about the thought process of giving you a response. The next thing I will tell you that's going to save you frustration in customers like this is document everything. If I had a conversation with electrical contractors out there, and so many of them do work without agreements, without documentation, without contracts, and maybe you have a career where you go through and you never do it and you never have an issue, and God bless you. And there's some of you out there that have a problem every time you get on a job. Every time. I'll give you an example. In the state of Virginia, if you do work for somebody without a contract, they're not under any obligation to pay you. Yeah, I know you're thinking, no, that's bull crap. Nope. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but if you do work for them and it's work that's required under the Virginia law to be contract work, and you do not get a written contract that has all of these stipulations that must be met when the job starts, when it's estimated finish, yada, yada, yada. If you don't do that, and ultimately they don't pay you and it goes to court, it may come up whether or not y'all had a binding contract. And if you didn't, chances are they could walk and not pay you anything. Now, a signed estimate, a text confirming approval, a dated change order, those things will save your butt. I know a lot of contractors who do something, they do not get a change order. They just let some. My brother's guilty of this all the time. In fact, my brother will do work for certain contractors and bill them 8 months later. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what are you doing? But my brother only does work for contractors for general contractors and builders that he's known for 30 years, 40 years. They've always paid him. He's not into getting new work. He's not into trying to find new builders. He's not into any of that. He only does work now in his 60s. He only does work for the people that he's done work for many, many years. So he knows he's getting paid. That's fine. But for the vast majority of you contractors out there, I'm going to tell you, whether it's a one-page contract that's simple to get multiple of them made up and keep in your truck or whatever, in your binder, one-page contract, it's all that's necessary. With ChatGPT today and all these other things, you can most certainly have it create a very simple one-page contract. It's better than nothing. Okay? change orders. Anytime you change something, get it in writing. Just a simple change order sheet. Make it clear what the change is going to be. Simple. You'll be surprised, and many of you, and some of you may never encounter anything. But when you need it, good to have it. Okay? Photos, invoices, texts, and it's your evidence. If something ever goes to a legal setting, have as much documentation as you can. Why risk it? It only takes a second. If somebody doesn't want to sign something for work you're getting ready to do or whatever, then maybe you don't want to do work for that person. Because that hesitance is, I want, if I have a contractor come and do something, I sign it. I'm like, dude, you did the work. I'm going to pay you. I'm not worried about all these little crap on here. So anyway, paperwork is power. It's your backup generator, folks. It's what keeps you okay when crap hits the fan and you can produce a document that says, well, they told me to do this and they agreed to pay me to do this. I'm just saying. And you're a professional contractor. You know, you should be you should be working professional. You should have the shirts. You should look the part, wear the boots, have your vehicle lettered properly, have business cards done properly, look the part, stay well kept, and then follow all paperwork and be very professional about it. Very professional. Keep it very neutral. Contract agreements, one page, simple contract service call agreement. Have the customer sign it up front with the pricing and, you know, in the levels. If it's flat rate pricing, it could be level 1, level 2, level 3. Have a note in there that it could run into unforeseen issues that could increase the price. Have them initial that. They understand this stuff. There's no room to argue afterwards. And if you end up having to go to small claims court and put a lien on the property, then that's what it is. If you choose to do that, then you've at least got your paperwork. Okay? That's up to you. I'm just giving you advice. Well, you know. Next, escalate calmly when needed. What does that mean? Well, if things aren't resolving, mention the next step, which is respectfully doing this. Like we say, I'd rather we handle this between us than turn it over to some collections or to file a lien. You're not threatening anybody. You're informing them. And you're only going to use this tactic very calmly with your pauses. Again, the old saying, swallow 5 times before you speak. It creates a pause. I don't know. You might think that's too long. Do 3 times if you want. Sometimes I get so pissed off, I need the 5 times. I'm just saying. Now, that's not threatening. If you get to that point, you're just stating the obvious. That's a calm tone. Keep your professionalism. Look the part. Okay? But it's also possible that you need to use that tactic in a tough conversation. But know that it's there and use it wisely. Next, something in your mind, always think about, and you got to train your employees to think this if you're a business owner, always think about retention, never a revenge situation. Okay? Sometimes you take a small loss to gain a long-term win. Maybe they short pay this time, but you handled it with class and dignity, and they come back later with referrals or bigger jobs, or maybe you offer a discount if you think it's going to turn that way, and you get clever and you say, well, you know what? We are running a special where we'll give you 25% off or 10% off or 5% off or $25 off if you do give us a 5-star Google rating. Never say a Google rating, say a 5-star Google rating, okay? And then be there and make them do it while you're there. Take the time, folks. It's important that you do this today because people follow these damn reviews. They do. If I can tell you all the people that I get calls from, contractors who talk about what can they do to fix their reviews. Again, the ones that I consult with, and I tell them, well, here's how you start. Okay, you're not going to get rid of the crappy review, but you have to think how you got the review, why you got the review, and is there a way you can offset this? You know, a lot of people think with those reviews that it's you let the customer decide. Absolutely not. This isn't buying at Wayfair. This isn't Amazon. You're right there in their face. I am going to promote it and push it as a 5. right away. Right away. And then if you've got a QR code or you got something, you can take them right to where they do the review, Yelp review or whatever. Now, I can tell you the thing today is to have it go to your link tree, where on that link tree, it has all of them. You have your Google review, you have your Yelp review, and maybe you go there and maybe you come up with a tactic and you go, you know what, I'll give you $10 off for every one that you give me a 5-star review. And maybe you only have Google and you have Yelp. Maybe that's it. Okay, maybe you have Bing. Is it worth it to get this review, a 5-star review in these? Absolutely it is. For your long-term business, it is. I am more than happy to give up $30 on a call in order to get 3 5-star reviews that's going to be easily put me in a local search around. I'm just telling you, you can say, no, I don't believe in that crap. I'm just telling you, I've seen it. I work with people doing this, okay? That's up to you. I'm not here to tell you how to do your business, but that's up to you. Remember, your business, your reputation outlasts your receipts. You understand that? That one job, that one incident where you're fighting over $10, $15, $20 or disgruntled over something can affect your future revenues because people do use these reviews. They do. Not everybody, but a lot of them do. And now more and more people are going online. They're looking for an electrician near me, and you'll come up in this list, and the lists with the better reviews move to the top. I'm just saying. Think about it a little bit. Next thing is debrief every conflict. Once you're done, if you have a situation, you know you have a situation, train your employees to come back to the office and offer them incentives. If they get a weird one like that, make them know that they can come in and they'll get $25 or they'll get a free lunch or whatever. If they have a tough situation that they were able to de-escalate or how they work through it, that they come back and they share it with everybody. They have to openly share it with everybody. So it's an incentive program that your company can offer. And if it's just you, then you're going to do this anyway. So after every tough customer, ask yourself, what did I miss? What did I fail to communicate? What in the scope of what I did I fail to communicate? Was my quoting vague? Was my pricing vague? Did I leave something out? Did I not provide a contract? Did I not do a summary? What did I do that maybe could have changed the outcome of this? Every confrontation teaches you something, whether it's a pricing clarity, whether it's a scope or definition of the work that's going to be done, the tone, how you control it, where you kind of feel like you probably got argumentative, because we all have that conscience when you leave. You're like, shit. Well, I shouldn't have said that because that took it to another level. So, I mean, you really, every tough customer basically is an opportunity to teach a soft skill. And again, that doesn't mean the customer's always right. That doesn't mean that you're kissing their ass. That means that you're learning from every situation. And a good employer wants to know their employees can learn those tactics and those things that are going to make their company better. And ultimately, as an employee, if you ever want to own your own business, because that's the beautiful thing about electrical, is you someday may want to own your own business. These skills are going to be invaluable to you to learn. So debrief every conflict. Look at how you could have addressed it better. And also the ones that you had a conflict and it was successful. Where in that conversation did you find that the tide turned? Was it your, giving your summary and asking a question and pausing? Was it, where in there do you feel that it turned the tide from a customer that might have been confrontational and that type of thing? Those are important things to kind of share with other people that work in your company. Now, people ask me all the time, how do I do this in a kind of a role play situation? So segment 3 here is de-escalation in action. It's kind of a role play. So let's kind of work this out. Let's play this out in a real world situation. So I have a customer. And the customer says, this bill is higher than what you quoted. And the contractor says, I understand that caught you off guard. Okay, so there's the empathy. He said, I understand that caught you off guard. Let's walk through the invoice. Remember, we added the dedicated circuit for that microwave after you requested it mid-job. You wanted me to do this. So mid-job. So we had to spend a little more time to do that. That's where the additional $150 came from. So now the customer is like, okay, you explained it to me. Now I can see you did the summary of it. Now that's a calm, factual, and non-defensive way you're explaining. You're not apologizing. I'm not apologizing for the work. I did the work. You asked me to do the work. But now think about how this tone could change. Right? So now let's listen to how the tone changes here. Let me give you a bad example. Well, you asked for it. We did what you think. What did you think we would be? Free? Now I'm going to tell you what. I can tell you right now, I know some people that are just employees that work for you, that are just taking a paycheck, and they did all the work. They're tired. They just crawled through a freaking attic. They got damn insulation all over them. They're tired. And they might spout off something like, well, you asked for us to add this microwave circuit. Would you expect me to just throw in the wire, the cable, and everything for free? That is not the way you say it. That kills the relationship instantly. There's no empathy there. You might have felt like that's the best way to approach it, but it wasn't. Keep your tone steady, slow, confident. You're professional, not a collection agent. Explain in a summary what we did to justify this cost. And don't feed them bullshit, okay? I can't stand that. If the cost is increased because something was different, for example, say you're a flat rate pricing and it was a price 1 job and it elevated to a level 2 job. Let's say it was a ceiling fan and you noticed that it wasn't a ceiling fan box, and now you're going to have to go in the attic. You're going to have to put in a ceiling fan box with a new bracket, all this kind of stuff. And the price originally, you didn't know what was under there. So you gave a level 1 and now it's kicked to a level 2. Maybe it's another $125 more. And you get to explain it. You go, okay, let's do a quick summary of what we did. So originally we priced you level 1. We can't really see what's underneath that box. And we were kind of hoping that it was a ceiling fan box. But you still gave them prices up front so they feel comfortable. And I said, it has on there that it could be, and everybody that has flat rate pricing should do this. The structure of how you can escalate your pricing structure is, it said, look, once we found out that it, per code, the code is, because it could fall out of the ceiling. And so we had to upgrade it and put a different box in there that's going to support this weight. And I can show you in the NEC where there's actually weight values that we have to use. And I can show you on the box the weight parameters for this box. So that's where and it's a little more to install this box than we originally thought it would be. We thought it was just put a fan up, take a light down, put a fan up. So that's where actually the extra prices came from, is that extra work that had to be done. And if you explain it to somebody, then it's easier to overcome that hurdle rather than to just say, well, we had to use more expensive pieces. What did you expect us to do it for free? Do not let your employees do that. Do not. Okay. That is not the way to do it. Next, segment 4, we're going to talk about building future trust. Okay. So remember what I said earlier about taking a situation and using it to gain the trust of the customer and possible future references. There's an element where you can take it to the next level very tactfully. So after resolving a payment issue, send a quick thank you note or a text. This is after you've negotiated everything out and everything's done. Not the other one when I'm talking about where you had to give a discount and you had to be creative and offering them, maybe if you do a 5-star, I'll give you this, $5 off, $10, whatever it is off. And then go into it and say, because I appreciate you. I'm just a small business trying to. No, this is after. Right? This is after you've done. Payment's been done. You will be surprised, and I can tell you contractors do not do this. They do not do this. Very few do this, and I've had a couple do this, and I tell you what, they get my business because they appreciate it. So after you receive your payment, send a quick note, thank you note or text, and maybe you'll say, appreciate you working through that with me. Glad we could get it squared away. If you need any future work or maintenance, I'll take care of you. A small act leaves a positive aftertaste. It turns conflict into credibility. Now, this is not just when you're going through this negotiation period. I think it's a good move for every service call that you do. Every one of them, that you respond back to them either with a text or with an email or even with a call, if that's your nature, and say, look, I just wanted to call and thank you as a small business here in your community. I just want to thank you for allowing me to do this work for you. Just folks, you're in business. You say, well, I don't suck up. I don't kiss ass. Something's wrong with you. It is not about that. Stop letting the ego get in the way. You're working a local community. You're working your business networking. Be appreciative of people coming to you. They could have gone to somebody else. If you want to call it kissing ass to the customer after the fact, that's fine. I'll take that. I'll kiss every customer's ass after the fact. If I think that they will refer me, promote me, call me back, share me with other people, worth it. Worth it. Hey, you can disagree. That's fine. To me, 100% worth it. Lastly, segment 5, closing thoughts. Now, negotiation in contracting isn't about who wins. It's about how you handle the situation. Remember, you're the professional. You control the tone. You control the pace. You even have a hand in controlling the outcome depending on that tone, that professionalism, and how you handle the situation. And I will say how flexible you can become in a pivoting, being able to detect a potential conflict and head it off at the past, whether you're involving empathy, whether or not you're involving summary and explaining what you've done, whether or not you're offering some kind of incentive, like a reward program, or offering discounts if they give you 5-star ratings. However, any of that, you control the pace, the tone, the outcome. Then when you stay calm, you're always in control because you're offering the service. You have done the task. They already feel obligated to pay you. But you control the tone. Remember, your best wire in business isn't copper. It's patience. It conducts way more successful deals, okay, in the future. That patience. You put in the wire, you put in the material, that's just there. That's only getting you paid on that one incident, at one time. A good negotiation, a good outcome, a good working relationship with that customer will pay dividends in the future. That's where your money's made. That is where you're going to get repeat customers. You're going to build your base. They're going to share it with other people. They're going to give you those Googles, those Yelps, those Bing reviews. Give them the opportunity to give that to you. I tell people all the time, if you've never done it before, guys, just go to my website. Pick up one of those little hat clips for all of your staff. Let us know what your Linktree account is, that you can get one account and you can put all of your Yelp, Google, whatever. We'll help set that up for you if you want. Or if you have a website where customers can give you reviews, or you got just a Google listing like my brother and you want us to put that on the QR code and send it to you. We sell those. Whatever it is, you want to make sure that you actively get a review. Now, people have been in business for many years and they say, I don't care about that crap. You better start caring because people are using it. Statistics are showing that people are using referrals and they're looking at it. And I'm just telling you, as young, hungry people that are in this business, not the guys that have been in 30, 40 years, you're set in your ways. If you're young, you're eager, you're hungry, you've been in the business a couple of years or whatever, you want to build your base, this is what you do. You build your base by doing good work, looking professional, being courteous, understanding when to get empathy when needed, being able to state your summary, hold your ground, be flexible, stay calm, and give the customer a good experience. It's going to pay dividends, and they're going to tell everybody. And that, my friends, is how you negotiate a tough situation. Hopefully you got something out of that episode and can put any of it into practice. If you're interested in joining our network or having me as a consultant and helping you out, give us a contact. We'll let you know what that is. And I'm more than happy to help you be that sounding block or help you with other things that you needed from a consulting aspect of it. It's not always just about the electrical code. We do other things. I've owned multiple electrical contracting businesses through the years. And I have a very diverse area of expertise. I have a bachelor's degree in business management. I have a master's degree in engineering. So I kind of wrap all these things together. I've owned multiple companies through the years. So we try to give you a well-rounded approach to how you do your contracting business. And we love to be a sounding board and develop a relationship with you. If you're interested, reach out to us. Our number is 540-607-0116, or reach out on our website, electricalcodeacademy.com, .net, or .org. It doesn't matter. Or go to our fasttracksystem.com website. You can send us something through there. We have a contact us feature. Let us know. I'm more than happy to work with you. Till next time, stay safe. God bless.
Thanks for tuning into another electrifying episode of the Master The NEC Podcast. We hope you're feeling more powered up and ready to tackle the electrical world with the knowledge and confidence you need to succeed. Remember, in the electrical trade, knowledge is power, and we're here to make sure you stay plugged into the latest insights, tips, and code updates. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the podcast with your fellow electricians and industry pros. Until next time, keep your tools sharp, your circuits clear, and your mind focused, because here at the Master The NEC Podcast, we're all about sparking your success. Stay safe, stay smart, and keep mastering the trade. From all of us here at Electrical Code Academy, thank you for all your support, and we will see you on the next amazing Master The NEC Podcast episode.